as well.
In transition, Peterson, Hawkins, yes sir! Another steal. Jaime Hawkins, and a flush. This execution looks like maybe a turnover. Hawkins will get an easy dunk. Here's Castleton, turns it over. Heat on the run. 3-on-3. Hawkins with the hammer.
So some of you may be wondering who this man is. This is Jaime Jaquez Jr., aka Triple J. Jaime Jaquez Jr. was the 18th pick in this year's NBA draft, and so far he's impressed in his first couple games in the Summer League. You may be wondering, Connor, why are you making a video about Jaime Jaquez Jr., a late first round pick and a guy who wasn't even expected to go in the first round in the first place? Well, I'll tell you why. I think he is the most underrated player in this year's NBA draft. In order to get the full story of Jaime Jaquez, we have to go all the way back to the beginning, back to his high school days.
Jaime Jaquez Jr. really didn't have many problems finding offers. He had offers from schools like USC, Utah, Texas A&M, Illinois, Memphis, Stanford, and UCLA. However, he inevitably ended up choosing UCLA and signed his letter of intent on November 14th, 2018. In the year prior to Jaquez's arrival, the UCLA Bruins were in a bit of turmoil.
The UCLA Bruins were coming off of a 17-win, 16-loss season, and it was a season in which they ended up firing their head coach midway through, and the Bruins just did not look like they were in a good spot. However, in Jaquez's freshman season, the UCLA Bruins were on the up and up. They had just hired Mike Cronin, as their head coach, and Jaquez would have a fairly impressive freshman campaign. Jaquez Jr. ended up averaging 9 points, 5 rebounds, and an assist, while proving himself as a pretty worthy defender on a super young UCLA squad. As most of you know, though, the Bruins' coming out party happened in the 2020-21 season. The Bruins' 2020-2021 season was super up and down. They ended up finishing the regular season 4th in the Pac-12, and although they did have a lot of really good young talent with Jaime Jaquez, who averaged 12 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, they had Johnny Juzang, and they had Tiger Campbell, it just didn't seem like the Bruins were going to do much as they found themselves in the play-in for the tournament. And some of you may remember that this UCLA squad was on the verge of losing in the first 4. This team was down 11 at the beginning of the second half, and they were down 5 with under 2 minutes to play. And if it weren't for, Michigan State making some mistakes, and if it weren't for Jaime Jaquez's heroics down the stretch, and overall just an incredible game from him, 27 points, then the Bruins may not have found themselves in the Final Four, let alone the tournament.
Jaquez averaged 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists with a steal a game throughout the tournament. He proved himself as a super versatile defender and was insanely efficient from the three-point line throughout the entire tournament. Although the Bruins did inevitably lose in the Final Four, expectations were pretty high going into Jaquez's third year. Jaquez and the Bruins would end up meeting those expectations in the 2022 season. And although Jaquez did see his efficiency drop in his third year, he did notice overall improvements as a scorer, averaging 14 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists, while still being a phenomenal defender for the Bruins. Although the Bruins would sadly lose in the Sweet 16 to the championship-bound North Carolina Tar Heels, it seemed like the sky was the limit for Jaquez and the Bruins. Jaquez would vow to stay for his senior year, and in his senior year, he would dominate. Jaquez would have his best year in 2023, averaging 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 assists with a steal and a half a game. Jaquez would be named a second-team All-American and would lead UCLA to first place in the Pac-12. He would also lead the Bruins to the 7th best overall record in all of college basketball. The Bruins would make it back to the Sweet 16, but would lose on an absolute heartbreaker from Julian Strother and got beat by Gonzaga. Jaquez Jr. would then declare for the NBA draft.
And so we made it. Jaquez Jr. declares for the draft and is completely overlooked by everybody. Analysts, scouts, GMs, everybody. And the question you may be asking is, well, why was Jaquez so overlooked? If he was such a prolific talent in college basketball, why didn't GMs notice that? Well, the simple answer is he's old.
At 22 years of age, he is 4 years older than the number one pick, Victor Wembanyama, and 4 years older than Brandon Miller. Age plays a huge factor in the draft. And if you're not super young, you probably don't meet most of the top 15 teams' needs. And analysts noticed that. He was ranked 24th on NBA.net's big board and ranked 32 on SportingNews.com's big board. So he pretty much wasn't expected to go in the first round. And if he did go in the first round, it would be super, super late. However, with the 18th pick, the Heat knew they had their perfect player in Jaquez. Jaquez Jr. is the perfect player for the Miami Heat. He's a scrappy defender. He's a great slasher and mid-range scorer. He's got post skills. And it's just the perfect pickup from the Heat. The reason I believe that Jaquez is so underrated is because he's going to be an instant impact player. He's going to come into the league and already be averaging 10, 11, 12 points per game without much work. And yes, he does have work to do. Although Jaquez has impressed me with his outside shooting throughout the summer league, I still think he needs to work on that. He's very inconsistent from the outside, and it's just something that takes repetitions and repetitions and repetitions. It's kind of funny. After Jaquez got drafted, the interviewers asked him, who was your inspiration? Who do you look up to? And he ended up answering with,
player comparison.
Well, I say my favorite player is probably Jimmy Butler.
Off the court.
Jimmy Butler.
And it's just perfect that the Heat picked him up. I personally have super high expectations for Jaime Jaquez Jr. And although he may not get a shot at first with the Heat, I think they're going to develop him into a quality NBA player and potentially an all-star. I think Jaime Jaquez Jr. is an instant impact player for the Heat, and he just went to the perfect team. There's not any other NBA team I could imagine him going to other than the Heat.
Well, that'll do it for me, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you could leave a like, that'd be great. If not, it's fine. This video took a lot of research. I did a lot of research when it came to Triple J, and I don't know. I think he's a tremendous player. I think he's super underrated, and I think people are going to see how good he actually is when the season starts. So again, if you guys enjoyed today's video, it's much appreciated if you leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out. But yeah, thank you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.